In a quiet corner of the vast forest, two special babies were born on the same day, their cries echoing through the trees. Sarah and James, known as the Fever Twins, shared not just a birthday but an extraordinary bond that made them inseparable. From the moment they entered the world, it seemed as if nature itself had welcomed them with open arms. As they grew, the twins developed a unique connection with their surroundings. They loved to explore the forest together, laughing and playing in the dappled sunlight that streamed through the leaves. Sarah was curious and adventurous, always eager to discover new paths and hidden clearings. James, on the other hand, was gentle and observant, often stopping to marvel at the tiny creatures that called the forest home. Together, they created a magical world filled with laughter and wonder. Their parents often spoke of how closely linked the twins were to the forest. They could sense when a storm was brewing or when a gentle breeze would carry whispers of change. The trees seemed to watch over them as if they were part of an ancient story that had been waiting for these two special children. But their peaceful life took a turn when sickness struck. Both twins fell ill with a fever that worried everyone in the forest community. As their parents fretted and tried every remedy they could find, little did they know that help was about to arrive in the form of a devoted timber nurse who had her own ties to this enchanted place. While Sarah and James were growing up in their enchanted forest, a shadow loomed over their home. The powerful logging boss, Mr. Hargrove, had set his sights on the very trees that surrounded the twins. He believed that cutting down the forest would bring wealth and progress to the area, unaware of the deep connections that existed between nature and the families living there. Mr. Hargrove's plan was to clear-cut large sections of the forest, an idea that filled the community with dread. The trees, which stood tall and proud for generations, would be felled without a second thought. As he gathered his workers to discuss his vision, he painted a picture of new roads and buildings, promising jobs and prosperity. Yet, those who loved the forest knew that such destruction would erase not just trees but also the homes of countless wildlife. The birds, rabbits, and deer that roamed freely would be displaced, leaving them without shelter or food. Streams that sparkled with fish would dry up, affecting the balance of life within this thriving ecosystem. To many locals, the forest symbolized life itself, a place where families like Sarah and James discovered adventure and joy. As whispers spread through the community about Mr. Hargrove's plans, worry grew alongside concern for the twins' health. The timber nurse understood all too well what was at stake. Her heart ached for both the children and the forest they cherished. Determined to protect their home, she knew she had to act before it was too late. In the heart of the forest, where the trees whispered secrets, lived a kind-hearted timber nurse named Clara. With her long, flowing hair the color of autumn leaves and a gentle smile, she was beloved by everyone in the community. Clara had dedicated her life to caring for both people and nature, understanding that they were deeply intertwined. She used her knowledge of herbs and natural remedies to heal those in need, often wandering through the woods to gather plants that could soothe ailments. Clara had a special bond with Sarah and James. She often visited their home, bringing along delicious soups made from forest ingredients and stories about the wonders of nature. When the twins fell ill with a fever, Clara rushed to their side, determined to help them recover. She prepared remedies from the bark of willow trees and wildflowers, explaining each step of the process as she worked. Her calm presence brought comfort not just to the twins but to their worried parents as well. Beyond her role as a healer, Clara also stood as a guardian of the forest. She knew every animal by name and understood the delicate balance that existed within their ecosystem. As news of Mr. Hargrove's plans spread, Clara felt a fire ignite within her. She realized she needed to protect not only Sarah and James but also the home that had nurtured them. With courage in her heart, she began to rally the community, determined to fight for the forest they all adored. One sunny afternoon, as Sarah and James played near a sparkling stream, they suddenly began to feel unwell. At first it was just a slight tiredness, but soon both twins developed a high fever that made them feel weak and achy. Their faces flushed with heat, and they shivered even in the warm sun. Sarah complained that her head felt heavy, while James curled up on the ground, unable to muster the energy to play. Their parents quickly noticed the change in their children's spirits and rushed them home. As night fell, the symptoms worsened. The twins tossed and turned in their beds, plagued by chills and restless dreams. Worried whispers filled the air as their family gathered around, anxious to help them feel better. The forest community, known for its close-knit bonds, rallied together, carrying remedies from their homes and sharing tales of past illnesses. Friends came to visit, offering soups made from fresh vegetables and herbs gathered from the forest. It was a time of worry and fear for everyone involved, as they couldn't bear to see the beloved twins in pain. The laughter that once echoed through the woods had been replaced by silence and concern. In the midst of this turmoil, Clara sensed that time was running out. She knew she had to act quickly to ease the fever that gripped both children before it could take hold any longer. With determination in her heart, she prepared to provide the care they so desperately needed. Clara sprang into action, her heart filled with determination as she rushed to gather the natural remedies that would help the fever twins. She knew the forest like the back of her hand, each plant and tree holding unique properties perfect for healing. With a woven basket in hand, she ventured into the woods, feeling both urgency and purpose. As she walked, Clara collected willow bark, known for its calming effects and ability to reduce fevers. She also gathered fresh mint leaves to soothe their stomachs and wild chamomile flowers for their calming aroma. With each step, she whispered thanks to the forest for providing these gifts, understanding that her role was not just to save the twins but to honor the land that nurtured them. Returning to the twins' home, Clara began her work. She brewed a warm tea from the herbs she had gathered, filling the room with a soothing scent. As she served the tea to Sarah and James, she explained how each ingredient would help them feel better. Clara's gentle voice was filled with warmth and reassurance, reminding the children of the beauty of their forest home. With every sip, the twins began to relax, comforted not only by the remedies but also by Clara's nurturing presence. As she tended to their needs, Clara felt a connection between healing the twins and preserving the forest's resources. This moment reinforced her belief that caring for one was intrinsically linked to caring for the other, fueling her resolve to protect both the children and their beloved home. Clara stood tall at the entrance of the clearing where Mr. Hargrove had gathered his workers to discuss the logging plans. Her heart raced, but her resolve was unwavering. As she stepped forward, the bustling chatter quieted down, and all eyes turned towards her, curious about the timber nurse who dared to confront the logging boss. "Mr. Hargrove," Clara began, her voice steady despite the tension in the air, "you must understand that this forest is alive. It is not just a resource for cutting, it is home to countless creatures and families like Sarah and James." She gestured toward the trees surrounding them, their branches swaying gently as if agreeing with her words. The logging boss crossed his arms, a skeptical expression on his face. "This land could bring jobs and growth to our community," he argued, his tone dismissive. "We need progress." "Progress at what cost?" Clara countered passionately. "You will destroy not only their home but a sanctuary that has provided for generations. The twins know this forest intuitively, they feel its heartbeat. It nurtures them as it nurtured their parents before them." With each word, Clara felt the weight of her community behind her. She could see several townsfolk nodding in agreement, their expressions reflecting concern for both the children's health and their cherished environment. "Please reconsider your plans," she pleaded. "Let us preserve this beautiful place for future generations and ensure that Sarah and James can grow up surrounded by the wonder of nature." A moment of silence hung in the air as Clara awaited Mr. Hargrove's response, hoping her heartfelt plea would spark a change in his perspective. As Clara's heartfelt plea hung in the air, the tension in the clearing began to shift. The community, filled with forest workers and families, stood together, united by a shared love for their home. One by one, they stepped forward to support Clara's cause, eager to voice their concerns about Mr. Hargrove's plans. Old Mr. Thompson, a seasoned logger with decades of experience in the woods, raised his hand first. "I've seen what happens when we take too much from our land," he said, his voice filled with authority. "The forest is not just timber, it's where we all live and thrive. We need to care for it." Martha, a mother of 3 who often brought her children to explore the forest, joined in. "My kids grew up playing among these trees," she said, her eyes filled with emotion. "They deserve to experience the beauty of our home just as I did. We cannot let it be destroyed." As voices filled the clearing in solidarity, Clara felt hope blossoming in her heart. People shared stories about their connections to the forest, recalling family gatherings under ancient oaks and the joy of watching wildlife roam freely. The atmosphere was electric with determination as Clara looked around at her friends and neighbors. Together, they devised a plan to peacefully protest against the logging plans while raising awareness of the importance of preserving their beloved forest for future generations. With shared purpose igniting their spirits, they were ready to stand firm and defend their home against threats of destruction. One morning, as the sun peeked through the leaves, a gentle light illuminated Sarah and James's room. Clara had been tending to them day and night, but today felt different. The twins stirred in their beds, and for the first time in days, their brows were cool to the touch. Clara watched closely as Sarah opened her eyes and smiled weakly at her brother. "James," she whispered, "I think the fever is gone." James blinked in surprise, his energy slowly returning. "Really?" he replied, a spark of hope igniting in his voice. Clara rushed over with a cup of herbal tea, encouraging them to take small sips. With each taste, their spirits began to lift. As they sat up together for the first time in days, Clara could see life returning to their cheeks. The laughter and joy that the forest once knew were beginning to bloom again within them. Their recovery became a symbol of hope for everyone in the community who had gathered outside. When word spread that the twins were improving, families came from all over the forest to celebrate this small yet significant victory. They lit lanterns in honor of Sarah and James's health and placed flowers at their doorstep as tokens of love and support. The atmosphere was filled with joy and relief as songs echoed through the trees. This moment not only healed the twins but also rejuvenated a sense of unity among the community members who stood resolutely against Mr. Hargrove's logging plans. Together, they felt inspired to fight for their beloved forest, a living testament to resilience that would continue nurturing future generations just as it had done for Sarah and James. As the community celebrated the twins' recovery, Mr. Hargrove found himself standing alone at the edge of the gathering, watching the joy and connections shared among the families. The laughter of Sarah and James echoed in his ears, and he felt a pang of something he hadn't given much thought to before: regret. He recalled Clara's impassioned speech about how the forest was not merely a collection of trees but a living, breathing home. The faces of the forest workers who had stood up for their land mingled with the joyful expressions of the families. Each smile reminded him of his own childhood spent exploring these very woods. The innocence and happiness radiating from those gathered made him question his plans. That evening, as twilight cast warm hues across the landscape, Mr. Hargrove strolled through the very forest he intended to clear-cut. He felt the cool breeze and listened to the rustling leaves, imagining a future where kids like Sarah and James grew up playing among them just as he had. Gradually, his perspective began to shift. Instead of seeing profit in timber, he started to see potential in preservation. Memories flooded his mind, the vibrant ecosystems, the ways this forest provided clean air and shelter, and the joy it brought to families like the twins. The next morning, a decision took shape in his heart. It was time for change. He would call a meeting and announce a new direction that prioritized coexistence with nature over mere profit, a choice that would honor both the legacy of the forest and its future generations. With Mr. Hargrove's commitment to preservation, life in the forest began to flourish once more. The logging plans were scrapped, and the community breathed a collective sigh of relief, knowing their beloved forest would remain untouched. Sarah and James, now healthy and full of energy, often led their friends on adventures among the trees, exploring hidden nooks and secret paths while laughing and playing as children do. Clara, the devoted timber nurse, became a central figure in the community, teaching families about the importance of caring for their environment. She organized nature walks where children learned about plants, animals, and how to live harmoniously with nature. The twins thrived under her guidance, developing a deep love for the land they called home. As seasons changed, the forest transformed into a vibrant tapestry of colors. In spring, wildflowers dotted the ground. In summer, sunlight danced through the leaves. In autumn, golden foliage fell like confetti. And in winter, snow blanketed the earth quietly. Each season brought new experiences for Sarah and James, creating lasting memories filled with wonder. The community held regular gatherings to celebrate nature through festivals that honored both family and friendship. They shared stories around campfires and sang songs that echoed through the woods, music that seemed to make the trees sway gently in response. Together they vowed to protect their home for future generations. With their hearts intertwined with nature's beauty, they ensured that Sarah and James's birthplace would forever remain a sanctuary where joy, love, and connections could blossom for years to come.